Whenever you're ready.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We're excited to talk about iGUIDE and what it can do for the insurance and restoration market. This is Jordan. He's our sales manager, and he focuses primarily right in with all of our insurance and restoration professionals. So he's got some amazing insights to share. We're excited to chat. We're going to dive in about and talk about iGUIDE Instant Sketch, how you can use it, what it looks like, how you can use it to process your claims faster, of course, and how it integrates really well with the Verisk technology. And then we're going to dive into some of the benefits. I'm Charlene. I am the senior marketing manager here at iGUIDE. So essentially, I'm here to answer all of your questions and facilitate the presentation with Jordan. Excited to hear all of your questions. There's the Q&A panel. You'll see that at the bottom of your screen. It just looks like two chat bubbles. Please enter in any comments or questions you have there. We'll do our best to answer them live. We're going to walk through a short presentation as well as a live demonstration of what iGUIDE does and what the solution looks like. I'm going to pass it over to Jordan. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit and talk a bit about the space, Jordan?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Charlene. Yeah, so as Charlene mentioned, I'm recently the sales manager of the insurance and restoration space. I've seen many of you attendees that I've either spoken to or maybe met at a trade show or two. So I've been in this space for a few years now, mainly going to all over the space, whether it's restoration, there's people using it in the public adjuster or independent adjuster field, and fire investigators as well. So there's many use cases for our system. Many people have joined this demo who are in multiple different industries. So bear with me on this presentation. There's some people who are using the PlanX Pro, some people who aren't. So we're going to do a kind of a presentation here where we'll give some general information at the beginning. Some of you might already be familiar with that. And then I'll kind of dive into the benefits of our Instant Sketch product, and then also kind of make some comparisons between our Instant Sketch and our ESX, which is drafted by our drafters as well. Kind of give you those comparison points. I'm going to share my screen. We'll see if this goes through there. Let's share on your end, Charlene.
Perfect. Thanks, Jordan.
Awesome. I'm just going to move this bar here. And let's just get this out of the way. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Just used to Microsoft Teams now, so Zoom's one that we just use for webinars. But again, thank you for joining. Put your questions in the Q&A section or the chat. We'll save some time at the end. I'll dive into things here. If anything needs to be answered, we'll have a great amount of time towards the end to kind of answer some questions. Charlene, feel free to stop me at any point if you want me to go over anything else, because I know I do talk pretty quickly. So yeah, we'll dive into things here. So I think Charlene mentioned this on the agenda. We'll kind of walk through the solution. I see some people here who might not be using the PlanX Pro, so I'll kind of explain that just in case we are IMS5 users or maybe still working by hand, and kind of giving you an idea of how this is going to work, a deep dive into the Instant Sketch and ESX products, and then how these are benefiting our clients today. So a new way to document a claim. So the beautiful PlanX Pro is just on that screen here, which is used to virtually share, communicate, and deliver on-site damage. So not just used for real estate space, but many people using it in the claims industry to really get that data, get that virtual documentation, but also have that accurate measurement documentation for ESX files when you're doing the claim within Xactimate.
Can I pause you there and double click for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So for anybody who hasn't seen the PlanX Pro camera or hasn't had it explained to them and how it actually works, I just want to stop and take a sidestep there, Jordan. So the PlanX camera is proprietary technology that we've developed here at Planitar. So for us, then we coupled it with our Theta Max 360-degree camera. So it's kind of cool tech. And I think what attracted me and why I joined the company, I would say I'm probably one of the newer members here, is just how innovative the solution is. So the LiDAR camera technology actually measures the space in a single scan, and then it translates all of that data into 360-degree tour as well as an accurate floor plan. So in application, when Jordan starts talking about your ESX files and how you can use it to document a claim, it makes a lot of sense. So in the sense of that you can take that scan and then translate it right into your ESX file. And he's going to talk a little bit more detail about how iGUIDE Instant Sketch works. And the Instant Sketch name really does come from the fact that it's so fast, you can actually submit the claim before you even leave the property, which is kind of neat. So I just kind of wanted to touch base on that a little bit there. I probably have a little bit more of a newbie appreciation for our technology, whereas Jordan's a senior pro at this. So I'm here to kind of add that light. So take it away again, Jordan. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem at all. So Charlene pretty much covered this slide here, documenting the properties in minutes, full 360 imagery, measuring rooms, calculating the floor area calculations, then mapping property layouts, with the focus on this webinar being for ESX and Instant Sketch files, which I'll dive into a little deeper as we go. So for those of you who aren't in the industry, these are kind of some challenges that we see in the industry today. Manually measuring and sketching can be time consuming, whether you're using just a laser measure, pen and paper. Going out to a property without technology can kind of be time consuming. And for a big property, you can imagine the time it might take to fully document if you're still using a manual method of measurement with photos or any other type of documentation. Human error when you're doing those methods too, creating sketches, missing rooms, details, those can always come up. It can also create a lack of data when going back to a property to create an estimate. Say you're, document the property one day and you're not submitting for the claim a week later. Sometimes that can be, there can be some difficulties going back and kind of forgetting, where was this photo? Where was this measurement? If it's not documented property, it comes up quite a bit. And then adjusters, contractors, restoration professionals, they may have to make multiple visits to a property. And a solution like this essentially has the ability not only to have that measurement data, but also go back and see the property virtually without making an extra trip to the site. And then we kind of went over the Planix Pro, but just to kind of dive into it again, we've got that Ricoh Theta Z1 up top. For those who are familiar with it, you're probably used to the survey on the right-hand side. That's kind of how you operate the system. If those of you who are using our system don't have our new app, I recommend going to the App Store. We've got the Google Play and the Apple App Store. iGUIDE Planix, the app is there for you to download. Makes things a lot easier to connect to the camera systems, upload as well, upload from site, which we'll talk about for Instant Sketch as well. Do you want to jump in here?
That's okay. Yeah. I just wanted to answer, we had a question there about if the presentation would be made available to anybody who joined us today, and I'm happy to send that out in an email after we conclude, as well as 100%. A few more resources for everybody.
Yeah, and we've also got this recording as well, so I think we're gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, we're gonna post that eventually. So
you bet. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions just while we're paused here about the camera system that we can answer live, or to help you understand how it actually works? The cool part about it as well is that we just launched our new Planix app, so you can actually utilize everything right from the site. And I think it's made it a lot easier in terms of how you manage and put all of the pieces together. For those of you that may have used our camera in the past, but haven't stayed up to date because you've been so busy with business, on following all of our marketing emails and otherwise, it's something that you might want to use to go down to the either the iGUIDE, or pardon me, the iGUIDE store, my gosh, the Apple Store or the Google Play Store to download and start utilizing in your practice. Oh, it's the Planix app. Sorry.
Yeah, iGUIDE Planix. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you type iGUIDE, it'll come up. If you put Planix, it'll come up. The searchability is easy within there, but iGUIDE Planix is the title. It'll be a nice blue logo.
Yeah. And if you try it out, be sure to give us a rating and let us know how you like it, because we're looking for feedback. If there's other features we can add or things you'd like to see there, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, we're always trying to make things easier for you guys. Yeah, I'll jump back in here. So kind of diving into the topic we're here to chat about today, iGUIDE Instant Sketch. So for those of you who haven't used it, iGUIDE Instant Sketch is generated from the iGUIDE Planix camera. That's why we introed with that. It's an advanced AI drafted ESX file. So essentially, instead of it going to our drafters, it's basically going to be to you instantly with the ability to see that same ESX file, being able to drop that into Xactimate for the ability to start that claim. But instead of that 24-hour turnaround time that some of you may have been used to with our ESX files, you can get that instantly. And it kind of works well if your workflow is on site and you're not waiting till you're back home, back at the office or anything like that. and then it imports directly as well. So for those of you who may have already been introduced to this product, we basically will go through a process with you initially that will connect your Xactimate account with your iGUIDE account so that your Xactimate account is ready there. So you can get that instant sketch, drop it into Xactimate, and then begin adding in your line items from there. So
Sorry,
yeah,
I
no
was
worries.
just gonna ask, can you share a little bit of feedback about, I think it's interesting to hear some of the feedback that you get from some of our customers. I know Jeremiah is a huge supporter
Yeah.
of these solutions, but how maybe the deaf group uses it in practice, because that's kind of nice to hear, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk in a general sense because I've heard multiple people who are using it, and just to give you an idea of kind of the workflow and who it's based off of is people who they're doing everything on site. So as they go to a property, not only are they going to document the visuals, but they're also going to go there for document that measurement data, and they're wanting to start the claim right from site. So some people might, in an emergency situation, you want to get that data back, you want to get that submitted, you want to turn around that claim as quickly as possible. So that's kind of where it's used for. If there are any longer claims, maybe you want to, have that delay or have that ESX file come in a day or two when it's going to work for your workflow. But the instant sketch is a great method to kind of get that outline of a property and be able to see that data and plop it into Xactimate for a quicker turnaround time and a quicker claim close, essentially.
Yeah, and we've seen some of our clients use it for bulk, right? Where
Yeah.
they've done larger buildings or projects where it's a repetitive kind of process for them,
Yeah.
where it's not necessarily as complex, but a little more simple, and it's more of a volume game. So it's something that you could think about as well.
Yeah, which we'll dive into too, because I'll make some comparisons between our ESX and our instant sketch as well, because you'll kind of see where they differ in terms of the two products and kind of where you might have benefit using it and benefit using our regular drafted ESX, and that's the benefit with our pricing model. You can choose which package you need each and every time, so it's not like you're stuck just doing one or the other. And yeah, so we'll dive in here. So I've got a couple samples on the screen of a regular ESX and a instant sketch. So first off, looking at the instant sketch, it's site documentation. You're going to have those accurate measurements. You're also going to have a virtual walkthrough. So just to be clear too, I will, after showing you these two samples, I'll show you how the iGUIDE differs when you're ordering instant sketch versus a standard or premium iGUIDE. So you can see on the instant sketch files, the benefits with these, essentially you're getting them within minutes. You're getting a full documentation of the property. And we'll talk about costs there too at the end. But essentially you're going to have a different cost structure than what you're used to for the regular ESX files. And then you can kind of see the outlines. It still includes walls, windows, doors, openings, stuff like that. And moving into the standard and premium ESX files. The reason that these look a little more in depth are because these go to our drafters. So if anyone's kind of using both products or using ESX files today, you'll be able to see a little more detail than the AI currently generates. So if you essentially would have kind of a very complex property with, different types of staircases, ceilings, cabinets, stuff like that, maybe our premium ESX is for you. If you kind of wanted just more of a basic layout, that's kind of where you would go to instant sketch. Our drafters do a little more with our ESX files where they take that AI drafted to the next level by adding in much more detail. They can have lower cabinets, upper cabinets. They can add in on the premium iGUIDEs, the complex ceilings, slope trays, vaulted, different ceiling heights, stuff like that. Is same with staircases. So instant sketch, just to be clear, it's designed just to go back kind of for those less complex properties, not necessarily smaller claims, because with the instant you can do up to 5,000 square feet, so you can still get some pretty big properties in there. But again, if you've got a very complex claim, you might want our drafters to kind of look at that. These ones are great for any claims where you might be doing, one floor or a home that's a kind of a cookie cutter home, or maybe you just kind of have the need to kind of get that data back. You could drop in a couple staircases, adjust if you got one trade ceiling, you can just adjust from a flat to a tray. So kind of on the limitation side with instant sketch, you've got the staircases are not included, and then complex ceilings not included. But again, very easy from the feedback I've heard from people in the field is if they want that quicker turnaround time, they've got the sketch file built out, just making a couple tweaks to it. Whereas the standard or premium ones are designed as more full and complete ESX files.
Can I add it?
I had a feeling you had something to say for sure.
I always have something to say. But I think for me, learning about the technology and understanding how it works, what I really like about it, coming from somebody who has a strong background in software and how and development tools, is the flexibility. Like, I think part of it is that once you've scanned your property and say, you think initially all I need is an instant sketch. If I need to go back and say to our drafters or our team, and I message Jordan and say, how am I going to get a standard, or how am I going to get premium? Because now this has in fact turned into something more advanced than what I had initially thought. You have the flexibility to do that without having to go back to the property, right?
Exactly.
Because the cool part about iGUIDE is that it's real-time data and real-time feedback. So it has the flexibility to capture everything you need in those scans, and then all of that data is actually there within your USB. You own the data. There's no monthly fees, those kinds of things. It's a per project billing, and you have the flexibility to manage it however you need to with your team. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So as I'm learning, I'm always checking in with Jordan because he keeps me honest, which is obviously very important. But also, I had a great question about the accuracy. Can you talk to the accuracy for me, Jordan?
Yeah. So that's something I also want to talk about too, because one of the reasons our accuracy is guaranteed too is because we've got that point cloud data that comes from the camera system, and then that data is submitted to our drafters to be able to create these file types. So the accuracy, it's going to be, you're going to still have the same LiDAR laser data and the same point cloud data that you collect no matter what you're submitting to. But just keep in mind, it is AI drafted. So we are training the AI to be able to have multiple different styles of properties to be drafted well. But the reason I'm saying this is because you want more data in anything with AI. Giving it more data will have a better turnout of the ESX files, or the instant sketch files. So for example, if you're used to a cookie cutter home where maybe you're doing one scan per room. For the instant sketch ones, it's always good to give it more data so it translates to a better file type. So I'd recommend multiple scans per room for this file. Again, 10-second scan time, so it doesn't hurt to do more on site to guarantee it kind of have more of a better file delivery. It's kind of different where we can guarantee the measurements when it goes to our drafters, whereas with the AI, there could be, discrepancies.
A little bit more flexibility, right?
So I've used it myself, and it's done very well. Some things, just to kind of give you some pointers. I'll do multiple scans in rooms that got, say an office that's got multiple glass windows that maybe the LiDAR is going through. I might do one in the doorway, couple scans there, just so the LiDAR has more point cloud data to feed the AI when creating the instant sketch file there for you.
I have more questions for you. I love this crowd. You guys are amazing. So Roxanne's just asking about if it's a good tool for an interior designer. And Roxanne, I would say it would depend on what you're working on, but we do have the flexibility outside of the ESX file to also offer DWG and RVT files. So without having too much insight into your business, you can use it for interior design. It would just depend then again on selecting a different output for what you might need for what you're working for. But it is great because you can use it, and I won't go too far because I know we're talking about insurance today, so I don't want to lose the rest of the audience, but you can use it for virtual staging purposes as well. So it's got some great integrations there. What I can do is I'll reach out to you offline and I'll give you a little bit more detail on that after our presentation today. And then also, Tony, great question about whether you can turn instant sketch on and off. You absolutely can. You can right size it to whatever you need. There's some different formats that you can use with the iGUIDE, which makes it a nice tool depending on what you're doing. I think with founding our origin story in real estate, what we've done is really taken some of the best practices that we've learned there and been able to apply it over into the insurance as well as the AEC, excuse me, so the architecture, engineering, construction space as well. So with that, you have the ability, once you've done your scan, you don't pay for processing or your files until you actually go into the iGUIDE portal and then select what you need. And then with that, you have a self-selection menu that you can go in and choose whatever fits the project that you're working on. Anything to add to my explanation there? And then Scott, you also had a question. Jordan, did you want to handle that one?
Yeah, sure. And
Thank you.
Scott, I'll get into pricing too. To answer your question simply, yes. So if you're going to an instant sketch file, you can always go and upgrade it to an ESX down the road as well. And I'll readdress that again, Scott, momentarily when I just get to the pricing slide, just to give you an idea of that upgrade. But yeah, you're spot on there. And really, just before we get into that pricing, I just kind of wanted to go into a couple different iGUIDE samples just to give you an idea of how that differs in terms of the iGUIDE itself. So I'm just going to go to a couple different samples here. Standard iGUIDE, for most of you in the room here, you're familiar with this. We've got the full iGUIDE, you've got the mini map. You can see that this is drafted here. Same ability to navigate through a normal iGUIDE here. And you let me know, Charlene, if you want me to go in more depth here, but I think most people are familiar with this, but I'm happy to kind of go over it. The main things I wanted to go into to kind of show you the differences between the iGUIDE when you process a standard or premium for that ESX file is on the detail side of things. You're going to still have that full downloadable PDF floor plan. You're still going to have the room measurements. Everything's gone to our drafters. So they've drafted out that floor plan for you and then built that ESX file afterwards. And then you've got your floor area calculations on the right-hand side. The other side of things would be for an iGUIDE instant or iGUIDE instant sketch. So just to show you, when you do get an instant sketch, this is going to be what your iGUIDE looks like. So it is a little different because it is AI drafted. You're going to have that full mini map on this side, and you can kind of see the differences here. When it is AI drafted, you can still navigate around the space, see different areas. You can kind of see here how many scans they've done in the different rooms. And just to talk about I mentioned glass there, just because you can kind of see the staircase and what it's done on this side. So it's still got all the walls correct, the openings, stuff like that. But you can see on the railing here where it's complete glass is kind of what they put in on this section here. This is what I mean by kind of feeding it more data. That way it's still got an accurate outline and still gives you the correct data that you'd want for the ESX file as well. And then on the detail side of things, when you've got a AI drafted instant sketch or instant iGUIDE, you're also going to still have your room measurements broken down by floor, by room, but you're not going to have the square footage calculations or the downloadable PDF floor plans. So it kind of is a quick and easy way to get an iGUIDE, but also a quick and easy way to get that ESX file with our instant sketch product.
Can we go back to the standard iGUIDE for a second?
Of course, no problem at all.
I just want to talk, just take a quick minute, and I just want to talk about what the iGUIDE actually is and how it
Yeah, no
works.
problem.
So I'll wait for.
Yeah, I apologize if I snapped ahead there. Let me do that. 3D
That's
tour.
okay.
Perfect. Sorry,
It's all right. It's because my newness hasn't worn off yet. So when you look at the iGUIDE, I think what is really interesting is that it actually enables you to have an immersive experience within the space. So it's like you're right in the room as you're assessing it and going back and looking at it. So say if you had, a team and an operator or otherwise, we have many of our clients that actually use this with co-op students. So the co-op student will go out and scan the space, bring all the information back, and then they'll take it and they'll do their assessment, or they'll do their work or design or otherwise, however it's going to be utilized there. But on the left-hand panel there, you'll see in the floor plan, all of those green dots represent a scan. So this is something that our team did for demonstrative purposes at a model home. And all of those scans were taken in order to be able to capture all of the details and accuracy that we needed to be able to go in, measure the cabinets, measure the width of the counters, the heights, and all of those pieces, so that we could use it to be able to use it for, our DWG cases like today and otherwise. You wouldn't necessarily have to do that many scans to be able to create a file, as Jordan mentioned, for your own purposes in terms of creating an insurance claim. I think what we say as a best practice is that it takes about 20 minutes to do 3,000 square feet when you're practiced and you're well-versed with the camera. So in terms of the flexibility, again, you can use it however you need to. So if it's a larger space that's maybe not got as much detail, you would do less scans and pieces like that. And I think the other piece, sorry, just to navigate a little bit within the iGUIDE, is that you can navigate through the floor. So you can see where Jordan sees the hot spots on the floors and the white dots. Those are places where the scan has been taken, and then it will just take it, and you can use your mouse to just click around and through. You can navigate up and down the stairs. It's pretty easy to go to the next levels. And then in our premium, you'll see here, we just have a flat, simple ceiling, but in our premium iGUIDEs, you can also get those complex ceilings. So when you get their copper ceilings and things like that, that you're going to need for an insurance claim to be able to assess the damage, those options are there for you as well. So I'll let you go.
Yeah, no worries. No, thanks for jumping in,
Thanks,
Shirley. Yeah, I'm just going to jump back because going to go back to the presentation here. So as I'm doing that there.
Okay, technology is always tricky,
Yeah.
right?
So the main question I see people asking, okay, we've kind of gone over the differences. What are the difference in pricing and processing time are kind of the main benefits, and kind of what you as people who are running businesses in this field are wondering as well. So just to kind of go over things, we've got processing time in one column there and price in the other. Instant Sketch is essentially $20 plus 1 cent a square foot. And I've got a round example I like using all the time is 2,000 square feet. So just to give you an idea, we'll use that 2,000 square foot as kind of a base property there. That's essentially $40 for an instant sketch file. You still have that instant iGUIDE. You still have those measurement details, the ability to go in, add your tags, measure on screen, everything like that. And then that's coming back in a package with that instant sketch file for $40. And then we've got our standard and premium iGUIDEs with the ESX add-on. So for those of you who aren't familiar, essentially what happens is our drafters are drafting the iGUIDEs, and apologies, there is a little typo in our presentation here. The standard ones are 2.2 cents a square foot now, whereas the premium are 3 cents. And then the ESX is going to be 2 cents a square foot on top of that. So basically what you're doing is whatever iGUIDE you choose and then add on your ESX, it's going to generate a different type of ESX file. So you've either got your standard with an ESX add-on or your premium with an ESX add-on. And the differences there lie in the essentially 4.2 cents a square foot or 5 cents a square foot. So the same idea, standard with an ESX, 2,000 square feet would be a one-time fee of $84. And then if you needed the premium, that's kind of where people would want the premium ESX. So it's got those complex ceilings, different wall heights. You've got your slope vaulted tray ceilings, and then people who might be doing claims where they want the cabinets drawn in as well. Our drafters can do that if you've got the iGUIDE premium and the ESX add-on as well. And then I think I addressed it, but just to be clear on our processing time, Instant Sketch you're getting back within minutes. It is done by AI, quick render, and you've got it back. And then you've also got the processing time there for the standard and premium. So our standard and premium ESX files, anything 10,000 square feet or under, guaranteed back within a 24-hour time period. We've never gone over that, even during the heavy storm periods. Anything greater than that, it's not like it's a restriction on our end. We've done multiple big properties. I know Charlene mentioned the deaf group there. They're great for kind of testing our limits with some of the big properties, and we love to see it because there are big properties out there that need to be drafted, get an ESX file for a claim purpose as well. So we've seen north of 500,000 square feet. So it's not a limitation on us, but you can imagine with a manual draft time, and you've got something that's over 100,000 or more square feet, it might take a little more time to kind of get you that data back. So that's kind of where that differs. Anything to add there?
No, I was
No?
just gonna say, and I think the reason that you might see an extension in your time frame is that we want to guarantee the accuracy, because the accuracy has to be on point. We understand that from a business perspective, and we've worked really hard with our drafting team to make sure that they're trained on the best practices and that they understand the importance of that when it comes to delivering the files back to our clients. So does anybody have any questions that I can answer? There's a couple more in here. So I see Elisa, you're just asking about Chief Architect files. So we actually have a DWG file that integrates really well with Chief Architect. And what I can do is after the webinar, I'm happy to reach out. I have an actual blog as well as a one-pager that I can share with you to just give you a little more detail on how that might work. And then we can just start a conversation. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
And I think one thing I didn't mention is kind of the size limitation with the Instant Sketch. It's generated for up to 5,000 square feet. So it is designed at this time for 5,000 square feet or less. So just to be clear on that, if you are kind of in between that 10,000 range or kind of higher, it still will have to go to our standard or premium. As the AI develops, we will always send updates of, new updates or anything like that, or maybe size limitations that might change. But no promises at this time. Things might change down the road, but our AI is kind of capped at that 5,000 square feet and kind of designed for those smaller properties, like I was mentioning.
Okay, I have a couple questions for
Sure,
you,
sure.
Jordan. So one of them is about the pricing, the
Yep.
base price for premium, the base price for standard. Scott's just asking for that.
Yeah, of
Details.
course. Yeah, great question, Scott. So I can also flip you over our pricing page, but just to be clear, it's 1,500 square feet. So there is a base price for both instant sketch and standard or premium. So the instant sketch is going to be kind of a base price for 1,500 square feet or less, which is $34.50. And then same idea for our standard ones as well. We've still got a base price for the standard iGUIDEs with the ESX file. So the base price would be 1,500 square feet, which is essentially $33. So there is still those base prices. So there are claims out there that maybe you just want to do a quick instant sketch and maybe it's only 500, 1,000 square feet. The great thing that I like to tell people too in this industry is like when they are doing a claim to hit that base price, you could always scan more than you need and you still have all that data. Sometimes that's not the case. I mean, sometimes you still have those claims where it's just a couple rooms and you still might be quicker doing it with the hand measuring, but at the same time, you're always going to have multiple data points, more data. You're going to have that sketch file already done for you as well as that visual documentation. But yeah, it is that base price at the 1,500 mark.
I think you talk a lot about the ESX file, and obviously that's the core output that you're going to look at. But
Yeah.
if you're in a consultative role, I think sometimes too, it also helps if you're working with directly with customers and clients, and you need to have those difficult conversations about what kind of work needs to be done. So collaborating, for example, with outside contractors or otherwise, or you're trying to sit down with your client, explain to them exactly how things work. What I love about the iGUIDE is that it has that virtual tour, so you can go and navigate, you can add tags to it for your contractor, so you can tell them directly within it, hey, I need you to make a quote on this area for this with this, or these materials are available here, so you can upload your photos and your video. But then when it comes to talking to homeowners or business owners that may have been impacted, you can sit down and actually walk them through a before, and if you need to, an after, to be able to explain to them what the work was done, how it was done, and why it was done, which makes it a little bit more, I guess it would say facilitates a better conversation because it's easier, because people are emotional when these kinds of things happen. And I think having the visual documentation just makes it a little bit easier. I want to be respectful because I can see a number of questions coming in. So Jose's asking, he has instant sketch, Jordan. So he wants to upgrade to a standard or a premium. How can he do that easily? I'm going to leave that to you because you're our expert. But
Yeah, of course. So if you're talking about if you're talking about one you've already done, Jose, you can always upgrade that. That's as easy as kind of going into your portal, into that specific property and requesting an upgrade. Or if you're talking about if you're constantly using Instant Sketch and you're doing a new property, how do you use standard or premium? It's just going to be a different drop-down menu on the portal. So you're either going to be, after you choose your industry, you're choosing your package. So you can either choose Instant Sketch or you can choose standard or premium. And then just below that in the portal, you're going to see your add-ons for ESX. So depending on which one there, if you're looking at some of the existing properties, Jose, I'd be happy to kind of reach out to you to kind of get those upgraded if you're looking to upgrade some existing ones as well. But glad to see things are working on your end there.
all right, I'm going to take this one for Bill.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So Bill, given that I'm a newbie, and so I will explain it probably in maybe a little bit simpler terms than Jordan did, because he's our in-house expert. So when you're asking about the difference between a standard and premium ESX, it's essentially the features that you're going to get in your file. So in your standard file, you're going to get all of your stairwells, your doors, your windows, and all of those necessary pieces that you need to be able to process your claim. When you go into your premium, what you're getting is those extra pieces that maybe for a more complex property, you might need to document or you might need to estimate for. So we talk about complex ceilings, right? And we talk about getting your cupboards, your fixtures, and all of those additional pieces. So if you were looking at, say, a higher end property that was maybe impacted by a flood or maybe a leak or faulty construction or otherwise, where you needed to kind of go in and be able to say, okay, I can see the fireplace, the brick has cracked, so we need to get that fixed. Or we need to maybe look at those coppered ceilings or those complex ceilings where they have the slopes, and otherwise you'd want to use a premium file. So you're looking at essentially, and if I'm oversimplifying, I'm sure Jordan will correct me, but the level of detail that you need to be able to process your claim.
Yeah.
How did I do?
Yeah, you spot on. And sorry,
okay.
Bill, if I probably flew through that. So I'm glad Charlene jumped in there too.
Okay, so okay, Scott again for pricing. So Scott's asking about what an instant gets for 2,000 square feet. What's the cost?
Yeah. So just to go back, Scott, 2,000 square feet, looking something like this, would be a one-time fee of $40 for that project. Again, you'd still have your iGUIDE Instant, which was the one I was showing you with the AI floor plan. You still have the room measurements, and then this is kind of the ESX file that you'd receive. In comparison, same 2,000 square feet, looking like this, a little more detail, going to our drafters. So not instant, it would be kind of within that 24-hour range, as long as it's less than 10,000 square feet. A little more detail in the ESX, you'd have your staircases and any other details. That would be a one-time fee of $84 for the standard. So the iGUIDE Instant Sketch essentially is less than half the price, especially for that example there, 40 versus 84 there.
And this one, are you able to?
Don't no.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't yeah, so sorry if we've got any other languages in the chat. I am just English speaking. I wish I spent more time learning new languages there, but we can probably translate that real quick.
Michelle, I'm going to follow up after our webinar with a better answer for you. So I don't want to fumble and be disrespectful as we're chatting live, but I'll follow up with an email and I'll answer your question for you. And Jose, I think we need to connect because I'm feeling the love from you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
He asked,
Okay.
he also asked though, why is
Bill.
I have projects on my iPad but not
ESX separate from standard and premium on the chart.
This ESX
Oh.
separate. Oh, okay.
Understand.
Yeah. So
sorry, Bill.
just to be clear on that, different from ESX, because what happens when it gets drafted, all the point cloud data that's collected from our drafters is first drafted on a 2D floor plan. So people in other industries might just want the floor plans. That's why the ESX is separate on the chart, because essentially it's an add-on. So just to give you an idea of kind of how it works on our drafters, and they're first still going through drafting the floor plan, laying out the measurement data, kind of giving you that 2D layout, the PDFs. You're still going to have all that measurement data. And then what they do from there is they build up using the Xactimate software, and they start adding in the 3D components, the walls, the windows, doors, stuff like that. So when it's listed as Instant Sketch, it's kind of all built into one because it is AI drafted. When it's listed on this chart here, Bill, you're still having that premium charge for, or standard or premium for just the 2D data, and then the ESX file is like an add-on.
Okay. I hope that answers your question. So essentially, the reason we do it that way is because we actually use our baseline 2D data to be able to then facilitate in different add-ons. So our different add-ons include, I mentioned it just really briefly before, but we have DWG and RVT Revit file, as well as, of course, the ESX file, which helps within the insurance space. So Michelle, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And Jordan, can we do an apartment with vaulted ceilings? That's what Michelle was asking in her original question.
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, all complex ceilings with our premium ESX. They'll have, slopes, vaulted trays, not just flat ceilings. I can even we can send you a sample after the call here, Michelle, too, if you want to take a look at one that's already been done that we can share, just to kind of give you that, in-person look at an iGUIDE or an ESX file that has that. But yeah, that's been done.
Okay. Oh, glad you got it, Bill. I'm glad we could answer your question. That's awesome. Okay. And Jerry's asking about prices for the ESX.
Yeah. So essentially, Jerry, it's just the 2 cents a square foot. So whether you go with a standard or a premium, you're looking at 2.2 cents or 3 cents. And then the add-on is the 2 cents for the ESX. So when we're talking ESX, we're either talking standard or premium. That's always going to include an iGUIDE, and you're either looking at 4.2 or 5 cents a square foot. So that 4.2 for a standard, that I was talking about, the 2,000 square feet for $84. Think of that broken up as, 44 for that standard iGUIDE floor plan and then $40 for that ESX. That's kind of how it broke up. And sorry if that was confusing on my chart. Hope that clarifies that.
I'm going to add on there as well. So when you're trying to price out or you're trying to quote a project, and if you're thinking about, if you don't already have an iGUIDE or you're thinking about purchasing one, you're trying to budget it out for your projects, we have a calculator on our pricing page, which is super helpful. And so you can go in, you can enter in your square footage, as also choose what kind of add-ons or additions that you want for your file. And it'll give you a clear price as to how much that particular project would cost. I find it really helpful when we're trying to just figure things out. For instances like this, when we're talking to customers or clients and we're not entirely maybe transparent in how things work, it's really easy because it keeps me honest. So I don't make mistakes when I'm giving those prices out.
Yeah, and a lot of people love that too, because I know there's people in the claims industry that still might work with an engineer or an architect down the road too. So you might want to price out doing a standard iGUIDE, having the ESX, and maybe a DWG add-on too. So that's all there. The pricing calculator is great for kind of pricing out different properties and making you have an estimate for your clients there as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Are there any additional questions as we're talking about processing? Anything we can clarify for anyone that's joined us today? I'll just check here. Oh, yeah, we've got a couple in. Okay. All right. So Todd, he wants to verify. He needs to order an iGUIDE premium. And then he just selected iGUIDE ESX, and he wants to make sure that he'll get the slopes, jogs, and the walls, etc.
Yeah,
So
that's correct. Yeah. So essentially we've got standard processing and premium processing, and one ESX add-on. The one ESX add-on will translate based on what you chose for the iGUIDE itself. So if you chose a premium iGUIDE, that would essentially be a premium ESX. That would include all your fixtures that are done within the floor plan, but also your slopes, vaulted tray ceilings, your cabinets. You'd have all the details, basically everything that's included. Whereas the standard ones, maybe that's why, Todd, you were thinking you were just getting the 8-foot ceilings there. That's kind of set as a standard for our standard ESX files. So if you're just ordering standards, it's basically that 8-foot, and then it wouldn't have any different types of ceilings like sloped and trays. So if you've got complex properties like that, I know probably in your area, more complex homes than up here. So you might want to have that premium one. That way you've got those different ceiling types and different slopes and stuff like that too.
Okay. And Tony's asking, it looks like he's having a little bit of a challenge when he does a scan and he's trying to read the details on an appliance. So what would you suggest there? Would that be an additional scan of the room?
Yeah, so first off, the resolution of the Theta camera is 26 megapixels. The camera is also built with auto exposure, auto white balance, and HDR functionalities. The zoom function is great for kind of zooming in, but again, any zoom function, as you go full zoom, you're gonna basically have some pixelation. What I would recommend, especially if you're looking for the name on the appliances, I'm not sure if anyone's ever talked to you about our tags or real-time tagging.
That's a great solution.
It's great if, say, you're doing a scan in the middle of the room. You've got, let's just use a fridge as an example. You want to get a serial number on there.
Yeah.
You can snap right from the iGUIDE app. When you're in survey, you'll see a little right in the top right corner, a little tag icon. You can click that, basically snap a photo, add in any notes. This is great for any photos, any notes, any additional documentation. People in this industry might use it for, thermal imagery, or also moisture content, stuff like that. Kind of allows you to do that. I would kind of recommend adding that in your workflow because that's always going to be clear and concise. And you'd also have that image within the photo library of the iGUIDE itself. So you can kind of go back, and that tag icon will always have that location of which room as you're looking at it too.
I tell you what, Tony, I'll send you an email after we wrap up today with all of the details, because that was a lot to digest. As I was listening to Jordan, I was thinking, that's a lot of details.
Yeah.
And I know he knows it like the back of his hand, but when you're trying to figure it out, that can be a bit tricky. So I'll follow up for you. And Scott, for the pricing calculator, if you go on to goiguide.com/pricing, you'll be able to see the calculator button right there.
So I'm just going to bring it up for you, Scott, just so you can see.
There you go.
You'll see right here, you can choose your region if you're in the US. Questions, start calculating. So goiguide.com pricing, and then start calculating. And then from there, just like I was mentioning, we can go 2,000 square feet, standard ESX. Boom.
You guys have some awesome vibes. I love the comments that are coming through the Q&A today. Thanks so much for being such a great group. This is awesome. I love this conversation. Is there other questions, folks, that we can answer or that we can help with? I mean, we've talked a little bit about some of the overarching benefits. And I think if we wrap out today, just walking through some of the things that iGUIDE does, we've talked a lot about Instant Sketch and the ESX files and the costs, obviously. I think what saves here is that for me, and what I've seen in talking to a lot of our clients and customers like yourself, is that the thorough documentation is just so helpful. So if you get yourself in a litigation situation, you have that moment in time captured in detail. And I think, to Jordan's point, even if you're looking at something maybe down the scope and down the road in terms of could this actually go to litigation, being able to use that tag feature to capture all those additional details in terms of, you know, your appliance brands and your thermostats and your electrical and your pipes and details that, you know, really are outside of my scope, as I'm not an adjuster or in the claims industry that I can imagine. But I think that's where I find people find the most benefits for it. Is the accuracy and the comprehensiveness of the documentation. And then I would say probably the secondary to that is that I hear a lot of people tell me that, hey, I didn't have to go out myself. So I could stay back at the office. I could manage kind of those big rock conversations, which are either with your clients or managing your ESX files and otherwise. And you can send out somebody who's essentially an operator. So someone that may be a co-op student or somebody that's in an administrative role within your organization. So you kind of have that flexibility where it gives you a little bit more time back in your schedule.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, anything to add there? I know I get really passionate about the solution because I love it. I think it's really effective. So for me, the technology is exciting and we're always evolving it. Anything to add there, Jordan, that I might have?
No, you were very thorough. Yeah.
Fangirled out on, because I know I am a fangirl. So
yeah.
I'll own that.
No, that's pretty much it. That kind of wraps up our presentation. We'll double check the chat here to see if we got any other
okay,
questions.
Jose, I missed one of your questions. I'm sorry, Jose. I'm scrolling back up. Oh, okay.
No, I think that was a different one there.
Oh, is that wrong?
Yeah. Because that was
that one. And Jose, was it the question? Sorry, I think.
No, I think it was scrolled down a bit just because
sorry.
the
Sorry, guys. We just want to make sure that we answer your questions, do the best job we can for you.
Different name there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jose, sorry, as we're kind of scrolling through, if you don't mind typing your question out again, we could add that one in. I see you said you got a never answer.
Chat. I apologize for that.
So the chat's been flowing. That's on us. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a question from Scott. So you shoot real estate for designers, but you'd love to expand into insurance. So if you're looking to expand, Scott, into insurance agencies, honestly, I find by demonstration, like a quick demonstration of coming into somebody's office or looking at maybe connecting with someone online or sending them a quick virtual demo of what you actually do and what you provide as an iGUIDE operator to like a third-party agency that you're looking to work with is a great way to demonstrate what iGUIDE can do. In addition to that, I can send you a couple of pieces of marketing material that can help you have that conversation, because there is, I will be honest, a little bit of a nuance in the language between speaking about iGUIDE in real estate as well as insurance, because there's a little bit more detail and things that you maybe need to double click on to have successful conversations with those insurance and claims.
Yeah, I mean, it is a whole new industry to get into. So that's it's kind of a battle of kind of being a little bit more knowledgeable in their sense. But to be honest with you, it is doable. There are people who will be kind of like capture services experts for companies who don't have that in-house. There's lots of companies out there that, you know, whether in the claims side or in the restoration space, that just doesn't have the capacity to focus on the actual capturing of the data, that maybe they want to subcontract that out. That's where some people who are in other industries can kind of expand from there.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And so Nathan has a question about how to get the stairs icon on the steps when you use Instant Sketch.
Yeah, let me see if this sample I had here had one. Because that should be,
Okay, we'll just be a quick second.
yeah, let me just pull that up. Go to 3D tour. I don't think this property has one.
And then Roger, you asked a question, if the detail has to be connected to the camera. So the Ricoh Theta 360-degree camera, as well as the Planix camera, they do work together in tandem. So you're going to capture the data or pardon me, the imagery with the camera, and then the LiDAR laser is going to give you all of your measurements. So they actually work connected in the system, and those are the two elements that create your iGUIDE or your virtual tour. And then in addition, capture all of your data to develop the floor plans and the measurements. Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, no worries. I
For
think
the-
I just want to, I think we'll follow up with you after this, Nathan, just because I believe, and I'm going to say this live here, because I believe our stair icons that you're talking about are the ones that go from floor to floor, something that would be kind of on right here.
You can see on the upstairs floor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see it. Oops.
No, I think he's
Sorry.
talking about the like the
Sorry,
the
Nathan.
stair icon that is normally there. So those are normally manually put on by our drafters, I believe. So with the instant, you can still navigate floor to floor like that. But I don't believe that those are on the instant there. Let me double check on that. I'm almost certain about that answer, but you can probably hear the uncertainty in my voice. I want to double check with someone just to make sure. But
Okay.
I think those are manually done by our drafters. So that's probably what you're used to when you see the standard and premium ones compared to the instant sketch and instant ones.
Okay, and Jose had the question. I apologize for missing your question, Jose, about the firmware. So what version of firmware does it have?
So that's kind of a recommendation. As soon as you download the app, you're going to get a notification that's going to upgrade to the latest firmware. If you haven't done so already, for the sake of the updates that we've made in the past months, if it's been a year for you, I hope not, you basically want to download the app because it's also going to give you the latest firmware right away. So it's going to also be easier to do firmware updates as they come in because you can do so directly through the app. And then you're also going to, if depending on your timeline, the auto alignment feature has improved in the last year, 6 months. So I recommend, if you haven't done the app, download the app, get the latest firmware, and then that way you can have that there for you. Depends on kind of what firmware you're with. You will need probably the most recent one to have the instant sketch, Jose.
Yeah, it really does just make life a little bit easier for you
Yeah.
if you're using the Planix system.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Oh, thanks for the shout out, Mark. We appreciate it. Glad that we can hopefully offer you some new information. And then Roger is looking, the camera has to be connected to Sketch on the iPad.
Not sure exactly what you mean, Roger. The camera's got to be connected to a smart device. So whether it's your tablet or phone, and then it's connected to the app with our survey. So not your sketch, but
So it wouldn't be the various programs.
yes. So it wouldn't be, it doesn't have to directly be connected to Verisk software because essentially that comes back through our portal. So you basically have an iGUIDE ESX token that we would drop into Xactimate. So it doesn't necessarily need to be on mobile. It's not like it's the Sketch program or the Exact Mobile maybe that you're talking about there.
Okay. And then did we answer this one?
I'm not sure there.
iPad, but not on my iPhone. For
Jose Cordo, why is it that I have projects on my iPad, not my iPhone? I'm not too sure exactly what you mean by that one, Jose. When you're connecting, I'm just thinking maybe you're using your iPad, and then when you connect to your phone, are you connecting to the same camera? That's kind of one thing that if you wanted to pick up from where you left off or kind of connect a second device, as long as you connect to the camera system and then load that same project or have the app on both screens, you can go and you can see that same data. Only one device is kind of capturing with the camera, but in case you say your iPad died in the field, you can pick up from where you left off with your phone and continue that capture process.
And then Bill had a question. It's a good one about charging more for insurance claims than for real estate operations. So Bill, if you're an operator and you're looking to adjust maybe your scale of services, if you find that For real estate, maybe it's a lesser investment in the sense that you don't have to do as many scans. For insurance, if I was an operator and I was to offer the different services, I would certainly charge for the time spent on site. So in real estate, because you don't necessarily need all of the dimensions and measurements as you would in an insurance claim, I would say maybe there's some adjustment in terms of how you might position yourself. In addition to the fact that you would probably want to be requesting an ESX file from iGUIDE as well. When you're creating that iGUIDE Plus, you're going to add that add-on on there as well. So I would accommodate that in terms of the service. And then I would also kind of measure out how many additional times or touch points you maybe need to service compared to your real estate experiences. Without myself being an operator, I'm not an operator, I'm just learning about the technology. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily the best person to ask in practice, but if I was to take a business approach to it, that would kind of be my advice in general.
Yep, yeah, and just to touch on kind of what Charlene said there, one of the most time-consuming things for people in this industry is the sketch. So if you find clients out there that are outside of real estate and you might want to have more documentation services for your business, taking away that ability to have to sketch and go to site and create that file, it's huge value to many companies. So again, it's tough for me to say kind of how to do it, but it's available out there for you, and the value is there to give them those files that they can basically just take the sketch and add in the line items, finish the claim off essentially, or submit the claim, I should say.
Yep. Dean, happy to share all of the marketing material with you as well. And as well, anybody else, you're welcome to reach out to us. I'm happy to share anything you might need for your business or otherwise.
I was asking about appliance details tagged to a photo manufacturer. So just to clarify, Roger, if we're talking about tagged appliances and stuff like that, that's available for you in the photos tab. You'd have the tag, you'd have the image. You can download the JPEG image, but it's not pulling the data from that photo and putting it anywhere else. But you still got all that documented that you can view it. You can see it within the iGUIDE, within the 3D tour, as well as the still image as well. So if you've got a manufacturer number, serial number, it's in that photo. It's just not pulling those numbers out anywhere automatically, if that's what you're asking.
And the meeting will be recorded. Thanks, Brian, for asking again. Yeah, we'll send out the recording. We're currently recording now, so probably tomorrow morning I'll send a follow-up email and I'll answer a few of the general questions that we had and give you a few more resources and include a link to the YouTube. Jordan also has his email and phone number up on the screen right now. So if you have any details or you need anything, he's always happy to chat, as you can tell. He's really your guy when it comes to the insurance field. I would be the person to reach out to if you need any additional marketing materials or if you're looking for information that you wanted to share with your clients on behalf of iGUIDE. I'm certainly happy to help with that as well. That said, I think we're actually coming close to time, if that's right.
Oh, I don't know what just happened there.
I'm not too sure.
That's
having some.
That's pretty much it. Right as the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just logged us off. But I just wanted to say thanks so much for everybody for joining us today. This was an incredible conversation. I hope everybody that took the time to spend the Zoom webinar with us took something away from it, and you hopefully got your questions answered. Again, if you didn't, Jordan is more than happy to connect you with the right resources or answer any of the questions that you have. And I'm here certainly as a supplementary person to connect you with any of the marketing materials, or if there's anything I can help with you with there in terms of having the conversation with your client, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
So have an awesome afternoon, folks. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you next time on our iGUIDE masterclasses. Thank you.